The first time I saw them pouring concrete on my land, I thought it was a mistake. Bulldozers, workers, fresh pavement, all rolling over my back acres like they own the place. When I waved down the site manager and told him he was on my property, he laughed. "Sir, this is a registered HOA development. We've got full authorization." I stared past him at the half-finished cul-de-sac cutting through what used to be my pasture. Authorization from who? He smirked. The Maple Ridge Homeowners Association. I almost laughed. Maple Ridge didn't exist last month. That night, I went through every file I had. Land titles, deeds, maps. Every one of them showed the same thing. 214 acres. All mine. But by morning, they'd already staked out 96 lots, with street lights and foundations forming like mushrooms after rain. When I called the county office, they told me the same story. "There's a new development approved. Your property must have been subdivided in the rezoning." "By who?" I asked. They paused. "That information's sealed." That's when I knew this wasn't a paperwork mix-up. It was a setup. For the next 2 months, I watched them build. Every day, trucks rolled in, bricks stacked higher, mailboxes went up, and new homeowners started signing contracts on my land. My wife wanted to go to the press, but I told her no, not yet. Let them finish. Let them think they'd won. By the time the last house went up, it looked like a perfect little neighborhood. Kids playing, sprinklers running, HOA banners proudly hung. I drove by sometimes, and they'd glare at me like I was the trespasser. Karen, the self-proclaimed HOA president, once stopped me at the gate and said, "You can't be here. You're not part of this community." I just smiled. Not yet. Then one morning, I got the letter. The HOA was suing me for trespassing. They claimed I'd been interfering with their development and endangering residents. That's it, the moment I'd been waiting for. Court day came fast. The HOA showed up in full force. Karen in her best suit, their lawyer looking smug, and a slideshow showing photos of me harassing construction workers. The judge looked bored, until my lawyer stood up and said, "Your Honor, before we proceed, I'd like to submit Exhibit A." He handed over a folder. Inside, one single document, the original land deed, signed in 1983. Unbroken chain of ownership. My name still on it. Karen's lawyer frowned. "Your Honor, that's impossible. The land was rezoned. Illegally, it seems." He flipped through the attached survey records. "These permits were signed by someone who doesn't even work for the county." Karen started to shift in her chair. Her lawyer whispered something to her, but she shook her head, eyes darting. That's not real." I stood up, calm as stone. "Real enough that you built 96 homes on it." The courtroom went silent. Even the air stopped moving. The judge turned to her. "Miss Holloway, you and your association have constructed on private property without lawful consent. I'm ordering an immediate cease and desist and full compensation to the landowner." Karen's mouth dropped open. "You can't do that. We already sold the homes." "Then," the judge said coldly, "then you'd better call your buyers." A month later, the headlines hit every news outlet. HOA builds entire neighborhood on the wrong land. Owner wins it all. Each home, each yard, every mailbox, they all legally belonged to me now. I could have sold them, bulldozed them, or rented them back to their former owners. But I didn't. I posted one sign at the entrance, just big enough for everyone to see. "Welcome to Walker Acres. Private property since 1983. Karen drove by once after that, slow, windows up. I caught her looking at the sign, her face pale. I didn't wave. I just stood there, hands on my land, knowing the best revenge wasn't destruction. It was letting them live every day inside the reminder that the man they tried to erase owned everything under their feet. For weeks after that courtroom win, I thought the storm was finally over. The headlines faded, the lawyers stopped calling, and the new residents avoided making eye contact whenever they drove by my house. You'd think 96 families living on land they didn't own would want to keep things peaceful.
But peace doesn't last long when pride's still bleeding. It started subtle. My fence posts were cut one morning. Clean. Deliberate. The next night, someone spray-painted "Thief" across my barn wall. Then, at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, my motion light snapped on, and I caught 3 of them on camera. Flashlights, hoodies, whispering by the gate. I called the sheriff. "You still got that folder from the case?" he asked. "Keep it close. They're mad, and mad people do dumb things." 2 days later, the HOA called an emergency meeting. Except this one wasn't in a hall. It was right there in my pasture, folding chairs set up like a picnic. I walked out, coffee in hand, and said, "You folks need an invitation, or you just like trespassing now?" Karen stood up, wearing that same smug look she always wore before things went wrong. "We're here to negotiate." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean beg?" Her jaw tightened. "We want to buy the development back, all of it, triple market value." The way she said it told me everything. This wasn't generosity. This was desperation. "Why?" I asked. She glanced around, lowering her voice. "Because the buyers are threatening to sue us for fraud. If we don't fix this, the HOA goes bankrupt." I stared at her for a long moment, the wind moving through the dry grass between us. "You built your kingdom on someone else's dirt," I said. "Now you want me to save it?" She tried to hold her composure. "Everyone makes mistakes." "Yeah, some people just build 96 of them." The crowd started murmuring. One man yelled, "Just sell it to us. We'll pay anything." I shook my head. "No deal. You wanted to own my land so bad, you can rent it now." Their faces dropped as I handed her a stack of leases. Legal, airtight, month to month. "You can stay, but from now on, every lawn, every driveway, every mailbox sits on Walker Acres, and you pay for that privilege." The crowd erupted, shouting, cursing, but I didn't flinch. I had already filed the leases with the county. They couldn't touch me. A few tried to storm off. Karen stayed behind, shaking. "You're a monster," she said. I smiled just a little. "No, I'm a landowner." By sunset, the meeting was over. The chairs were gone, the shouts had faded, and the only sound left was the wind against the old stone fence they once tried to tear down. The next week, I started getting rent checks, every one with shaking signatures, even Karen's. I didn't cash them right away. I just kept them in a drawer, as proof that sometimes justice doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand its ground.